Chapter 25. Meeting the Monster. Daniel led the group as they accepted his invitation. A steady echo resonated through the room, showing an emptiness that pressed upon them all. The tension rose as Abimelech smiled. For someone who disagrees with my methods, you sure know how to employ them. He gestured to the noise outside his hut. Olivia snapped out, "You attacked us!" A massive hand blackened by the environment rose and began flicking off what seemed to be dust. The noise sounded like two stones began scraping against each other. Might makes right. Right? Deliberately baiting them with the fallacy was an old trick, but tensions were high. He frowned. You know, for assassins, you all seem content to just stand there. Are we going to get things started? Havaliah began to pace, and Gideon circled around the other side. Brief glances in each direction were granted, and he rested his head on his clawed arm. Interesting approach. In either case, I'd love to catch up with you. He focused all his attention on Daniel. He glared back and didn't offer a response. Olivia spoke for him by raising her rifle and chambering a dust fragment. Daniel raised his hand and lowered the barrel. A confused glance was met by rasping laughter. He seems more familiar with me than you realize. He tapped on his armrest, and their surroundings were shown to be organic. They shifted and revealed a fraction of light from the ceiling. He was revealed to be a colossus, not in stature, but in mass. A mere image of Gideon in every way, apart from the maze of scars that checkered his body. A modest turban barely contained a collection of sharp rocks protruding from both ends of his head. Looking down at the rest of his frame, they saw patches of stone and flesh as if they were intertwining with each other. And his hands, they were entirely encased in stone. Large, sharp talons seemed to burst out by force from where his fingers had once been. They moved with purpose, yet their weight could not be denied. In visage he resembled a Beowulf more than a man, yet his face, down to even the shape of his chin, resembled that of their friend. "What are you?" Olivia asked, unnerved by what she saw. Abimelech shrugged, causing various flecks of rocks to fall from the disturbance of their place on his body. "Didn't you read my book?" Gideon spoke up. "Not who are you. What are you?" Abimelech turned his head to the right. "Well, only because that handsome face asked. I'm consistent." He raised out both oversized claws to allow them to see who he was unimpeded by the slightest shadow. The room continued to shift, but even Havaliah wouldn't be baited to taking her eyes off of him. "You've chosen your god. I've chosen mine. I trust you know what I mean by that." He turned to Havaliah. She maintained her combat stance as he continued. "The Creator gives will, life, light, and hope. I simply have embraced the alternative in every way." Olivia stepped forward. "Then why aren't you dead?" His hand fell at that, but not his smile. "I've compromised some points. So have you. We both dance between the two options, but it's a major leap to consider myself alive." Gideon spoke cautiously. "You're just a golem, then?" A jagged finger rose congratulatory to him. "You've got it. I've been blessed with this frame to accomplish my Lord's will. Yet it's only her will that even allows me to move. I've relinquished any and all such echoes of the Creator, until I reflect the Destroyer's heart. Havaliah stood up and took 3 aggressive steps towards his throne. And for that, you killed your own family? Again, he rolled his shoulders in indifference. They gave me life. I rejected wasting it with them, with a little help from my friends, he replied in a borderline sing-song tone. In response, a mass darkness surged out, cutting off Havaliah and Gideon from stepping any closer. Daniel and Olivia were now all that stood in front of them. Muted attempts to cut and climb through seemed to be in vain as he eyed them both down. Tell me where I'm wrong. A slow smile resurfaced across his face, anticipating their answer. Daniel and Olivia both looked to the ground in doubt, and he burst out into laughter. Finally, I'm so thrilled we can find common ground. Olivia raised her rifle again and was cast aside from the black mass that now surrounded Daniel. Olivia, he yelled, looking to where she had gone. I'm surprised you remember me. Then again, I wouldn't expect anyone to forget what it was like to be my torch. At that word, Daniel's eyes narrowed to pinpricks in response to the adrenaline that flooded his mind. He at once fell into panic and rage as he flung himself at the monster that sat before him. With a casual gesture, his stone claw caught and tossed aside his hammer. A trail of fire caught portions of the stone and fell harmlessly to cinders at his feet. Ooh, that's familiar. I wonder if you recall it too. He leaned forward and dragged Daniel to look him directly in the eye. See, my memory isn't too good these days. One of many things I've left behind. Let's see if you can do it for us. A finger blade began to glow and shoved itself into his left eye. Instead of the pain from a lost appendage, the pain of his past flooded out from him and forced him to his knees before the feet of the monster who inflicted it.